Hey guys, welcome to my new series. This series will be going over a competitive game most likely from the LCS, LCK, or LEC. I'll be going over the hows and whys of draft plus macro play in competitive teams, ultimately explaining the thought process behind each play that they make. With that being said, this is the first episode and all criticism of this video is extremely appreciated, so if you have anything that you believe will make it better, please tell me in the comments. In this first episode, we're going to be going over Griffin, an LCK team that is currently undefeated without dropping a single game of any of their best of 3 so far. Let's start with draft. Within the current meta, flex picks are really OP. As you can see inside the bans, there are a lot of flex picks that got banned out, like Irelia, Jace, Cassiopeia, and Aatrox. And then even when all those are banned out, there is still Urgot and Akali on the table, which both teams are able to pick up one of them, which both can be flexed multiple ways. Griffin were also able to pick up Rakan, which is one of the strongest picks for the support role right now. In fact, across all regions, his win rate and presence are extremely high for support, so that going on Griffin's side is extremely dangerous, especially since Lahenz has showed that he is very good at it. Kai'Sa gets picked for Kingzone, a normal AD carry, and then for Griffin they pick up Sion, which also can be flexed inside multiple roles, so now they can flex Akali and Sion inside both roles in top and mid. During the second ban phase, I could really see how hard it is to draft against Griffin because Viper is able to play so many different champions, and since they're able to flex so many champions with Chovy and Sword, it's very hard to know where everybody is going. And so because Viper is also able to play mages, they are trying to ban out ADs and ban out his Yasuo and stuff, but they have no idea what he's really going to play, so it's very hard to ban out all the champions and know what he's going to pick up, because I had no idea that he would play Vladimir here. I haven't seen it that often, but yet Griffin is just able to play so many champions at a high level that it just makes it very hard for teams to actually ban people out. So for the last phase, Kingzone actually pick up the Lysandre, which once again can be flexed, so that means Urgot and Lysandre can be swapped, and also they pick up the Sejuani, maybe to actually take it away from Griffin because they're scared of it, and they put the Gragas as support. And then for the last pick, Tarzan is able to pick up the Xin Zhao, which he is very good at. So if we quickly look over the team comps on both sides, we can clearly see that both of them have a lot of crowd control, but one of the things that does stand out to me, which is they do have a lot of divers on the Griffin side, and Vladimir itself is the AD carry for them, and he is a diver himself, so if they are able to actually kill the Kai'Sa just diving on top of her, I feel like it's going to be very hard for Kingzone to actually win the game. So I think that Griffin are definitely going to be looking to just like kill Kai'Sa every single team fight, because if she dies, I think it'll be very hard to actually kill the side of Griffin. One of the first things that happened during this game is that Vladimir is not very strong early inside the game. Because of that, that means Kingzone is actually able to get the first push on the bot side. Of course, that means that they are going to reach level 2 first, which normally doesn't mean a kill, but actually Kingzone know their damage potential to a very high degree, making it actually so they can burst down Vladimir and get first blood off of it. The next play that happens is actually caused from having the Vladimir kill and pushing him under tower. So Vladimir is actually catching the wave while it's under tower, and then they go for a blue invade knowing that they can have Kai'Sa rotate and Gragas rotate while they're still farming under tower on the red side. Unfortunately, Tarzan is actually able to smite steal it away though, and because of that they're able to also go on the Gragas, who oversteps a little bit too much having no flash, and because he has no flash and he uses his E on the target to proc Aftershock because he would have died if he didn't do that, he is unable to get out of the scenario and dies for it. Lysandre has low HP and low mana inside the top lane, and then Sword is actually able to hit this wave with a full channel Q, being able to clear it very effectively, and because of that he actually can recall and not have to TP back because he can just walk because the wave is going to crash. So this will give Griffin TP advantage. So during this time, Tarzan is on the bottom side of the map because he just finished some of his top camps. He has no camps to farm at this point. He actually just cleared everything inside of his jungle recently, so that means that he has no place to go right now, so he just spends some time clearing around Vision mid, and then he just walks back into his jungle, but he actually notices that the Sejuani is heading towards her Raptors on a ward that he put down from earlier, and he knows that he can win versus her because he has Red Smite and he's a Xin Zhao. Sejuani is not really much of a dueler, so he walks back in knowing that there's just nothing else for him to do, and he's actually able to have Cuz walk into him, fortunately, and able to poke him out very severely, making it so he's able to get a good trade on it, and this actually will relieve pressure from the other lanes because now Sejuani will have a very hard time ganking because of how low she is. So he didn't really miss anything from doing this too. As you can see, he just walks back into the bottom side, which he knew that was going to respawn before the top side, so that's why he was on the bottom side in the first place, and spending a really good time of his window where he doesn't have anything that he can farm inside the jungle by doing something proactive and making it so his teammates are going to have an easier time. So the next thing that happens is actually a good example of how jungle and laners communicate together when they have priority windows to get certain stuff done, because Lysandra was low mana inside the top side of the map, Sion was able to push her in pretty freely and then just put down good vision of his own, and they even ping out on Kingzone that he's probably inside the blue side of the map. So he's able to get the scrying orb from the plant, and because of that, Sion sees that all of the top side camps are up. So Kingzone should be thinking right now, of course the map is very easy to see from this point of view, but on Kingzone's side it's completely dark, and they're probably saying, hey, Xin Zhao is probably going to take all of your top farm and we can't contest because I need to go back top lane now as to to really do anything. So what they're actually going to do on Kingzone is they're going to say, hey, we have actually bot lane pressure, we can just go for their blue while he's still taking all of your top side farm, because unfortunately you're kind of behind right now and the Xin Zhao we can't really fight, so we're just going to give the top side of the map and trade for their bottom side. Unfortunately, Xin Zhao actually was not doing the top side of the map at that time and actually did go towards the blue buff inside the bot side of the map, and despite being able to have bot lane pressure, they actually can't rotate because Gragas is not only but he also used his ulti, and then Kai'Sa can't really follow up that well either, and also mid priority is inside of Akali's favor, so Sejuani actually gets collapsed on even though that was the idea from the very beginning. So it kind of just butchered itself. They did think that Xin Zhao was taking all the topside farm, but thankfully they are able to get out of it and she is able to flash away, but she is able to now take her topside farm because of this. So, you know, maybe she's actually kind of happy that she only had to give up her flash because she knows that Xin Zhao didn't take any of the 3 camps topside, which now she can farm. But that was basically the idea behind why Kingzone even went for that invade, because they believe that Xin Zhao was probably taking all of the top farm through their top and mid priority. If you remember from earlier, Lysandra had to burn her TP versus Sion during the early game, and that TP is actually still down. So that means that Sion still has TP advantage on her, and if anything happens inside the bot side of the map, it can instantly become a 5v4 because Sion can TP and she can't. Because of this, Griffin actually want to set up a dragon play, and what they need to do first is set up vision control around it and at least clear the enemy wards, because for any play around objectives, you always want to clear the enemy vision first. This was a tiny problem because the bot side actually has no pressure and the Kai'Sa and the Gragas push up very quickly, and then they can instantly rotate and try to contest the vision. So what Griffin actually do is they actually just sit and wait inside of a brush until the next wave comes in, because that means that the Kai'Sa and the Gragas will probably be heading back towards the wave to be able to push it in again, and then they just walk up and they clear the vision. They then put down a TP ward for Sion, and they actually ping it out, probably saying to the Sion, hey, if they contest us here, get ready to TP. And it's just very simple. Kingzone are probably saying on their communication, hey, we have to give up this dragon because we don't have any TP on Lysandra right now, so just give it up. And that's exactly what happened. So Griffin is able to pick up that dragon uncontested because there is no team fight, because they know that it would be a 5v4 on the Kingzone side. Tarzan heads inside the top side of the map because it's the only available camps that he has up at that point, and actually the Kingzone do know that he is up here because he used one of these scrying orbs, and they do ping out that he is inside the top side, and maybe they think that he was on Rift Herald at this point. Because of this, the Lysandra actually wanted to maybe get vision of him to see if he actually is doing the Rift Herald, but I'm unsure if she would have even been able to stop him at this point, and unfortunately she walked straight into him when he was actually doing Scuttle Crab and just clearing vision, checking if there was any vision nearby, and she actually just gets one shot. So pretty bad communication on Kingzone's part. I don't even know if going for that ward was worth it at that point, because I mean, if he was on it, who would have really stopped him from finishing it? So they're able to get a free kill on Griffin because of that, and then because of that they also are able to pick up the Rift Herald. So because Kingzone know that the Xin Zhao is on the Rift Herald, they actually try to set up a dive play. They actually just need to wait for Lysandra to respawn, and then she can TP in and they can start it. But really weird stuff happens where Sejuani misses her ult, and because of that, because it's a Vladimir Rakan, it takes forever to actually catch them. But not only this, but Sion TP before Lysandra, which is very odd to me. If they were talking about doing this play, and it's pretty obvious from their positioning that they were planning to do this play, Lysandra was very late on the TP, because, I mean, if the enemy is TPing before you, obviously it seems that not everybody was on the same page. They were able to pick up actually quite a few of them, but because it was so butchered, the Akali was able to roam down from mid and actually clean up some of it with pretty good mechanics, being able to clean up Pawn with following him over the wall, and just overall just very sloppy dive from Kingzone, because it was a 4v5. Xin Zhao was inside the top side just taking Rift and then also putting down Rift on the top tower, so he's actually able to take the top tower by himself with the Rift Herald, and this gives him all of the armor plating from the tower, which is a lot of money, by the way. So he gets a ton of money Sejuani on his own and first tower gold and the Rift Herald. So it was very bad by Kingzone that it went so poorly, because they basically got a 2 for 3 in the very end. And not only was it a 2 for 3, but they lost first tower and a ton of tower stacks. So it was very poor for Kingzone. The next play that happens is actually one of the reasons why I think Griffin is such an amazing team right now and why they find so much success, and that is because they know what their champions do at such a high level together to make it so they can win a team fight. So on Kingzone's side, I think that the only way that they can actually win a team fight is with Kai'Sa. If Kai'Sa dies, there is almost no way for them to actually win a team fight, because on Griffin's side they have too many threats, and it's very hard to just take down all of the threats together, with Akali being able to be very slippery, Xin Zhao being pretty tanky, especially with his ultimate, and then Vladimir is just a very hard champion to kill as the game gets later on. And because of that, as they are setting up for the Cloud Dragon, it looks like Kai'Sa, she did use her flash inside the bot side dive there, so they know that she has no flash. All professional players time the flashes when they're available. So because of that, they know that Xin Zhao, Rakan, and Akali can actually go on top of her, and the Rakan and the Xin Zhao both immediately flash in because they have the flash, and then Kai'Sa doesn't, so they're able to get on top of her and immediately almost kill her. And this was a numbers disadvantage fight at the beginning of this. It was actually 3v4, but they're not afraid, knowing that if they're able to chunk out the Kai'Sa, as soon as she leaves the fight, as you can watch it, what can they do once Kai'Sa is gone? How do they win the team fight once Kai'Sa is gone? There's actually no way. Of course, Lissandra was late to the fight, but I don't think that was the reason why they won the fight, but more so that they know that if they're able to get Kai'Sa out of the fight, there's basically no way for them to actually win it. So because that happened, Kai'Sa is now having to recall, and then the Urgot actually was able to get caught out because he was just inside the middle of the fight and he had no flash, and Sion was able to kill him. So then the Xin Zhao was able to pick up the Cloud Dragon. Lissandra has to choose between defending mid or bot because the Kai'Sa has to reset, so they don't have a person that can actually defend all of the lanes at once. So that means they're able to take the bot tower and the air dragon for that skirmish and get one kill for it. So another scenario happens where Griffin actually almost have Chovy die, but they're able to come over and actually help him, and then he also can regen because he's a Akali, he has Gunblade, and with the energy also being at a high level, he's actually able to heal off the Q off that too. But then Kingzone just randomly run up the river, and I'm not even sure where they're trying to go at this point. If you remember from earlier, I said that the best way to win for Griffin is just to make sure that Kai'Sa cannot teamfight, and that's what they do. Once again, just immediately engaging on Kai'Sa because she's in such a weird position, and they are able to kill her this time. And after that happens, there's just no way for Kingzone to really fight anymore. So I'm actually really unsure why Kingzone was actually running up the river at this point. It put them into a scenario where Akali and Xin Zhao is behind them and Rakan's on the front with Vladimir just flanking. So really odd positioning. Also, the Lissandra was very low mana top, which normally is communicated by saying like, yo, I'm low mana top, let me recall, then we can look for something, because nothing's really happening at this point. But it just seems completely lost from Kingzone for communication wise. And not only that, but Lissandra tries shoving up the top wave and then takes a very greedy recall, and they actually just go collapse on her, and she actually dies too from it because she just has no mana to get away from the Rakan just running all the way through the river. In fact, Vladimir was also coming in case she was going to try to flash away. So Kingzone looking completely lost, and Griffin once again playing to their win condition of just when Kai'Sa's in a weird position, they can just immediately engage and kill her, and then when she dies, there's just no way for Kingzone to win a team fight. Another fight happens that is actually very confusing from Kingzone, where Deft walks up extremely hard when Rakan is taking vision, and at this point Griffin are extremely fed. They do have a lot more gold than Kingzone, but not only that, but no one was really near Kai'Sa when she was going for it. As you can see, Sejuani and Lissandra are off on the side, and then Urgot is not even close to being near them. So she just walks up and basically kills herself because she has no flash during this point. I mean, she did a good job of getting away from their con and then even ulting away, but she just gets blown up, and then as soon as she's dead, there's just no way to win the team fight. I've explained this over and over again. Once she is dead, they don't have a win condition anymore. So because of that, Griffin just completely wipe all of them and are able to take the Baron buff from a very questionable misplay. I'm not really sure what Kingzone's problem was during this time, because this probably is something that has to do with communication about what they actually wanted to do, and something happened between them, and unfortunately, of course, you can't listen to it as a viewer. So before I go into the last team fight, there is a short window where they're actually grouped as 5 with Sion being inside the top side with no TP. Maybe Kingzone actually didn't time the TP, so they're afraid that Sion will TP in if they start an engage, but there is a moment where they actually can just immediately engage on Rakan, and it's probably the best idea for them to actually get something done. They're extremely far behind at this point, and a 5v5 team fight will be extremely difficult to win. And I feel that the best way for them to win is to make a pick, because they have a lot of champions that can follow up CC if Sejuani is able to land her spells, and Rakan is sitting directly on top of a ward, and it would be pretty hard to react to the immediate Sejuani ulti. So I think that Kingzone are just like playing not to lose rather than playing to win, and it's really hurting them inside this game. So how the last teamfight happens is it looks like Kingzone was trying to set up a 3-man brush, and then they were going to go collapse on Chovy because Vladimir was mid, so that means they would have numbers advantage on the bot side. Unfortunately, Tarzan is already actually sitting inside of the brush, and with Rakan being over the wall, they immediately jump on the Kai'Sa once they see that they're walking over vision that the Griffin already had down, and when she gets one shot, the game is just over. I mean, there's no way for them to actually win a teamfight at this point, and there are people alive, and they are going to try to stall Griffin out, but unfortunately, they're just too far ahead at this point, and with Kai'Sa dead, they have no real way to fight, so they basically just have to keep on giving every single objective. So, with that being said, the game actually ends here. Kai'Sa even respawns, but unfortunately there's just nothing that they can do at this point, especially versus Griffin, and as you can see, they're able to just cleanly wipe all of them even after people respawning, and they're able to take the game. To quickly summarize what this game felt like, it definitely felt like Kingzone was actually trying to not lose and rather to win. And when you're playing to not lose, you're ultimately going to lose versus a very good team because they're going to be able to set up the objectives proactively and correctly. Because of this, that means that every single time that they tried to do something versus them, they always got caught out, and they seemed very jumbled for what they were actually trying to do and always getting caught out inside weird situations. Ultimately, I think Kingzone actually have communication errors because it seems that most of their problems were getting caught out, and I'm not even sure where they were trying to go during those points. And with that being said, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and if you watch competitive League of Legends and have a game that you want me to go over, feel free to post inside the comments and I'll definitely look into it. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.